So it looks like a sequel to one of the biggest Xbox One exclusives may be in development. Let's look into this. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So have you ever heard about Rise Son of Rome? I'm sure you have. That was one of the biggest Xbox One exclusives and I personally really enjoyed that game. Yes, the combat might have been a little bit repetitive, but you know what, that can be said about many games, but it did offer different environments and actually very good story and fantastic graphics. Well, to be honest with you, we're talking about a game that is like 7 or 8 years old now. Actually even more, 9 years old, because that game released back in 2013. That was a launch title for Xbox One. So 9 years old, and this game still looks great. Like if you actually play that game on PC in 60 frames per second and in a bit higher resolution, you know what, you wouldn't be able to tell that this game is like 9 years old. It really holds up really well in terms of like, you know, technicals, right? Like graphics and everything. Now, obviously on Xbox One it was 900p and 30 frames per second, but that was the standard back then. Okay, so what about the sequel? Well, we may be getting a sequel to that game, right? Now, obviously, the game, the original game got like 8, right? Metacritic wasn't really that good for that game. Game didn't really sell fantastic. It sold like 2 million copies anyway through like, I think on both Xbox and PC and that kind of stuff, because that game actually did release on PC later. So it wasn't really a total flop, but looks like that wasn't enough for Microsoft to actually create a sequel. Now, there was a lot of people that were asking for a sequel. I was one of them, and I'm still asking for a sequel. And you know, who knows? Maybe we may actually be getting a sequel to that game. So it all starts with this particular screenshot. So Crytek, so developers of that game, are hiring people for their new projects. Now we know that they are working on Hunt. I think that's a PC game only. I'm not sure if it's on consoles. We know that they are actually working on Crysis 4. So who knows? They may be actually hiring more people for these projects. But funny enough, if you look on the right, you've got, I think his name is Marcus, so that's the main protagonist from the Rise, Son of Rome. So it's kind of weird that, you know, they would be hiring people for like Crysis 4 or Hunt, and they are showing that particular character in that advert, right? And because like it's public, you can actually check it out. It's not really a rumor or nothing like that. They are hiring people. Now, obviously, when you check the actual job posts, they don't really say much about what games they are hiring for. I mean, some of these positions, when you check them, they do say, you know, for what games, but other don't, right? So, you know, there's still room for like, yes, we may be working on some projects that they haven't been announced yet. Now, so like I said, it's kind of weird that this particular character was shown in this particular post, because I think it was posted on Twitter or something. So obviously that started a lot of speculation about like, oh, maybe Rise Son of Rome 2 is in development and stuff. And funny enough, this is not the first time we're actually hearing some rumors about this game being in development. I remember like even this particular report from like last year, where Game Rant reported that Rise Son of Rome 2 may be in development, and actually that was based on Xbox era post, or actually that was a podcast where Special Nick, actually I think he mentioned that he had heard back then that the game is in development. And well, back then it was supposed to be a multi-platform game, so it wouldn't be Xbox exclusive per se, right? But you know what? This is not the first time that Microsoft didn't. I don't know whether they didn't want to do the sequel, or maybe the situation with developers were not really that great. Like a good example would be Alan Wake. Alan Wake was one of the biggest Xbox 360 exclusives. They never made a sequel, and later that game got remastered by what's the name of the developer? It will come back to me in a minute. And but it was made multi-platform, so the game finally in remastered form came to PlayStation as well and PC. I mean, it was on Xbox and PC back then as well. And then later they announced that this game will be also, the sequel. So Alan Wake 2 is in development, right? So, but Microsoft, I think they got rid of, they agreed to let the rights for the publishing of this game go or something like that. So maybe that was the case with Crytek. Maybe right now Crytek is actually working on a sequel, because listen, that game, the first game, was really good. It wasn't perfect, right? But I really enjoyed it, and I think that we need that kind of games more, and not that I'm trying to say that they should just copy paste and do the same, but they should really improve it, like make the combat more interesting and that kind of stuff. But the first game was really, really good, and I think a lot of hate was because of the fact that the original game was initially planned to be a Kinect game. So obviously that did kind of affect the way the combat was made, and some of the locations were made, I guess. And I think just later on in the production process they decided to just go with a normal game, not a Kinect game, which maybe, and that's why maybe the game wasn't perfect, that perfect. But still, like I said, I really enjoyed that game big time, and story was great in my opinion. And well, it kind of finishes on a cliffhanger as well, so a sequel would be cool to have. So listen, it's one of the Remedy. So I knew it will come back. That would come back to me. Alan Wake was made by Remedy, so now Remedy is working on Alan Wake 2, and that's going to be a multi-platform game. They are working with 505 publishing on publishing this game, right? So so some of these games, like being exclusive for one platform or the other, they become multi-platform. So listen, that's fine. I don't need Rise 2 to be an exclusive. I just want that game anyway, right? Whether it's going to be published by some other publisher, I don't really care. I just want to play this game on Xbox or PlayStation or PC, doesn't matter to me really. So yeah, guys, this is one of these rumors. It's not really confirmed. That has not been confirmed. I've seen some other rumors about this game being in development, but they were not really from like good sources, nothing like that. But so who knows, right? But listen, this is kind of weird. Like, why would you put that particular character from Rise on that post if you were not hiring for this particular game either, right? Maybe they're just checking if there's still interest in this game. Who knows, right? But I would love this game to come back. Listen, just like with Alan Wake, a lot of people kind of lost hope because Alan Wake was released back in the Xbox 360 era, right? And after all these years, nothing was happening. And, all of a sudden, 2 years ago, boom, we've got remaster, and, which also are released for PlayStation. And literally a couple of months later, I think last year, they announced that Alan Wake 2 is in development. And by the way, Alan Wake 2, I think it's scheduled for next year. It still may be delayed, who knows, but like it's not really that far away from being released, in my opinion. Like, it's not like 5 years away from, we're not like 5 years away from the actual release. Like, so it's going to be either next year, late next year, or 2024, we'll see. So anyway, guys, that's quite exciting news anyway. So listen, let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Share the video on social media. That always helps the channel a lot. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.